Cell warrior. For those of you who were with us, I do believe 2 years ago, she came up and spoke, for us. Her uncle is Will, and like I said, Will was special to me. One of my first people that with Kevin purchased an ad, and it's just so funny that I have always, whenever I think of Kevin and Will, I always see Kevin in Lowe's, and I said that's so funny. Then a couple of days later, Candice texted me and said, "Hey, do you mind if I, if you're doing your event, can I come and speak, for you?" And once again, this is all back down memory lane, and thinking about Will and how much he wanted me to meet Candice. And Candice just did a fantastic job. And then it was just weird that she just reached out to me. I said, I want nothing but Will tapping on her. But okay, so this is our last speaker for the day. And then me and Corey will say, thank you, and let's get the party started. But come on, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Ms. Fleece Thomas and the Faith Thomas Foundation for having me here tonight. And I'm happy to stand before you once again as we bring awareness to sickle cell disease. And I applaud my fellow warriors for fighting this strong fight. And I love the topic that Ms. Thomas chose this year, Reflect to Reload. And I would like to reflect on us adults living with sickle cell. So as we know, our children suffering with sickle cell, they get that hands-on treatment from the doctors and the nurses, and they get a lot of support. But when we transition into adulthood, that tender love and care is kind of lost. And so us adults, we're mistreated, and that mistreatment goes unheard. So tonight I would like to reflect on a personal story. I was involved in a car accident a few months ago, well, not a few months ago, on July 21st. And I was rear-ended on the highway, and the person that hit me was traveling top speeds about 65 miles per hour. So of course we went through the whole shebang. The cops were called, insurance was exchanged, and the paramedics came to the scene. I felt a lot of pain in my neck, my chest, and my back. My seatbelt didn't lock up, so my chest hit the steering wheel. The paramedics put me in a neck brace, and I was taken to Baylor, Plano, in Texas, via ambulance. Arriving, I was taken to the waiting room by a nurse instead of immediately treated, where I had to wait over an hour to be seen. Now that was interesting because any other time I'm taken to the hospital via an ambulance, I'm immediately taken to the ER room. And this time I had chest pain, but I still had to wait over an hour to be seen. But hey, things change. But all I know is by the time I was seen, my pain escalated beyond a pain of 10 on a pain scale, when it was initially a 6 when I had first arrived. I requested oxygen and it was denied. My labs were taken and x-rays were taken. And meds were given at a minimal. Now mind you, I was brought in as a car accident patient who has sickle cell. But not once was I assessed about the car accident. No CT scans were ordered. No testing of my range of motion in my arms and legs. Sorry. No checking of my abdomen and spleen. No checking of my chest for bruising or my neck. No checking of my back. Absolutely no checking, no assessment for patient care for the pain I was experiencing from this car accident. The x-rays came back fine, so I guess that was the only assessment I needed. But I'm pretty sure car accident victims are fully assessed outside of x-rays. But hey, maybe the rules changed. I don't know. All I know is that the meds weren't working and my pain continued to escalate. Lab results came back and it showed my hemoglobin levels were at a 9. My reticulocyte counts were in a semi-okay range, indicating no severe crisis at the moment, according to the doctors. And I honestly don't believe that anyone can judge a pain level based on lab results. But nonetheless, I was still in chronic pain. and the doctor's decision was to stop all meds. My cousin that was with me inquired about getting me more meds, and she was told no by the ER doctor, that I couldn't have any more meds, and that I was nothing but a drug seeker because my levels didn't indicate a sickle cell crisis. A drug seeker. So even though I was in pain from a car accident, even though I was there as a car accident patient that caused me to have the initial severe neck, back, and chest pain, I couldn't get additional meds because my levels were in a range to indicate a sickle cell crisis, but I wasn't brought to the hospital for a crisis. I was initially brought in as a car accident patient who has sickle cell, yet I was victimized only as a sickle cell patient and was treated unfairly, as most adult sickle cell patients are. My cousin continued to request for meds, was escalated until the doctor raising her voice at everyone. My mother called the hospital and requested for the head nurse of the hospital to help resolve the situation. The head nurse shows up, and the doctor still proceeds to yell at everyone. She's acting unprofessional and tells everyone to leave my room. My cousin told the nurse that she's related to me, and the doctor told her, either you get out the room or I'll discharge Candice right now. Discharge me? My pain is still a 10 out of a 10. But okay. I tell my cousin that she can leave and I'll be fine. The head nurse and the doctor remain. The doctor proceeds to raise her voice and yell at me in a demeaning manner. She tells me to stop crying, to grow up and act like an adult, that I'm being ridiculous. She tells me that she's dealt with plenty of sickle cell patients and they never cry. Tells me that I can't get any more meds because I'm just seeking drugs and she's not going to admit it. I politely tell her, as I'm still crying in pain, that she's being very unprofessional and that I don't know what sickle cell patient she's dealt with that don't cry when they go through a crisis. I told her that she didn't even assess me for my car accident and that she's putting me under more stress. The doctor eventually leaves. I never get any more meds. I waited, suffering, in excruciating pain for over 5 hours, totaling over 10 hours that I spent in the ER room before I was finally allowed to be admitted. I was only admitted for 1 full day and then discharged on the doctor's orders. And within 48 hours, I was in a full-blown sickle cell crisis. I was rushed to a different hospital, and I informed the nurses that I was recently in a car accident 2 days prior, and they immediately started their care. I was put on oxygen and meds were given. Labs were taken, x-rays and CT scans were ordered. The doctor assessed my entire body, testing my arms, my legs, seeing if I can lift them. He examined my chest, my neck, my back, and my abdomen, checking for tender spots and see if I had any bruising. And I got admitted within a few hours, and I ended up having a blood transfusion. And I stayed in the hospital for the course of 4 days. That's my story. Now I want to examine this. I was categorized and stereotyped as a drug seeker by the first doctor because of having sickle cell. Yet I was never properly assessed from being in a car accident. So the car accident didn't even matter to her. And why is that? Why is it that most of the time, us adults have to deal with doctors who just don't care? And why is it that we are left to be in pain for numerous of hours? And why is it that our pain is seldom recognized? There's an article that I read, and it's on a website called wbur.org, and it's entitled, Gene Therapy Advances Offers Hope for Sickle Cell Disease Cure, where Dr. David Williams president of the Dana-Farber and Boston Children's Cancer and Blood Disorder Center, says, and I quote, "And then the second part that's even more debilitating for most patients is those misshapen cells occlude the small blood vessels that are given oxygen to all of your vital organs. And so, if you can think about a person essentially having a heart attack, patients with sickle cell disease have that kind of pain throughout their bodies. And it's called vaso-occlusion. And that, over time, of course, creates chronic damage to those organs from a lack of oxygen. And that leads to chronic problems to organs such as your kidneys, eyes, the bones, in particular, the lungs." End quote. Now, Dr. David Williams compares the sickle cell crisis to a heart attack, but on an elevated scale. Now, if a heart attack victim with severe pain can get seen right away and treated with the uttermost importance, then why can an adult sickle cell patient be treated in the same way, who experiences the same type of pain? Our blockage may not be in the heart, but it's a blockage nonetheless, which can still lead to chronic damage to vital organs. And it hurts me when I come across my fellow warriors wanting to give up, refusing to go to the hospital because of mistreatments, coming across numerous nurses who have no idea how to treat them as an adult, and they're immediately categorized and labeled as drug seekers, being discharged from the hospitals while they're still in severe pain, crying alone and would rather die than be in pain over and over again without any relief. So tonight I want to reload and focus on the doctors. And I challenge you to actually examine yourselves when it comes to us adult sickle cell patients. Examine your nurses and examine your protocol or lack thereof when it comes to us. And really ask yourselves, do us adults really matter? And why are sickle cell patients stereotyped and labeled as drug seekers? And why are our tears forever flowing in the hospitals? And when will an actual change ever occur in the healthcare systems for adult sickle cell patients? I believe that we need a better patient care for sickle cell survivors, especially us adults. And I thank you tonight for listening to my story. And I pray that you have a great evening.